Hi everyone, welcome back to Law School Gems with Bria. My name is Bria Riley and I'm the founder of Law School Gems, and today and for the video that will follow, we are going to be talking about internships and jobs. So please tune into this very important topic because none of you are in law school just to be in law school. You want to start your career and get a job and earn money. So these videos are about you, they're for you, and they're tips and tricks and gems that I picked up along the way to help you land that dream internship or that dream job.
We are born to win. Come and learn the basics with Law School Gems.
So around this time, you should probably start focusing on applying for jobs, and some of you might be already seeing some jobs for the summer of 2023 that you will want to consider, right? For some of these opportunities, those employers are going to start making decisions before January, right? And I don't say that to scare you, I say that to prepare you so that way you don't miss any important deadlines when it comes to applying for your dream internship or your dream job. And for most of you, you likely will find your internship for the summer of 2023 or your associateship or what that looks like after January, right? That's just how the game is going to be played for some of you. But for others, you might find it before January. And so it's time to kind of start considering what the next steps look like and how you should start putting into practice how you want to land that dream internship or that dream job leading into December and November, etc., right? Because it's crazy to me that you guys are already in November, and that's like right there before you're about to end your first semester of law school for those of you who are tuning in as first semester law students. So I'm just really impressed and very happy with you all, and sending you all my best wishes. So as a 1L, right, if you are applying for a job or an internship, make sure that you are abiding by the application process that is set forth by whatever employer you are applying to. Also make sure that you are submitting the proper application materials, right? So if your employer that you are trying to get a job with for the summer of 2023 is saying, hey, I only want 2 letters of recommendation, don't submit 3. The same way that we kind of walked through that when we were going over the transfer application materials and the candidacy materials that you would prepare for your transfer application, you're going to follow similar steps when preparing for your employer applications as well. If the employer that you are applying to would like you to submit your grades and you don't have them yet, right? You can't submit what you don't have. So you would submit the application in totality by the deadline that is set forth, and then you would supplement that application later once you actually have the grades that you're going to need on your transcript in order to submit a completed transcript, which will then complete your entire application profile with that employer. So I get asked a lot, what type of job should I be applying for the summer of 2023 if I'm a first semester law student, or even if I'm just considering internships, externships, associateships, or other jobs while I'm in law school? Because I have no idea, and I don't know what I want to practice. I don't know what I'm interested in. I don't have a clue, right? I always say start with jobs that are going to land you transferable skills, right? So anything involving legal writing, anything involving, if you know that you want to go into litigation perhaps, but you don't know what particular firm you want to work for, or whether you want to be in private sector or public sector, well, some good transferable skills for a job like that might be working somewhere where you can take a deposition, you could do client intake, you can ask questions, maybe you can argue a pretrial motion, or get some of the skills under your belt that you're going to need in order to prepare you for the career that you want once you graduate. And it would be the same if you wanted to practice within a transactional landscape. And for those of you who don't know the difference, right? So a litigator, think of a litigator as someone who's in court, or they're doing a lot of things to prepare for court, right? So they're answering discovery, and discovery is when you get a list of questions submitted to you or that you're submitting to the opposing party in order to collect information, because you have to build your case, right? So you're collecting information in order to present, hopefully, as evidence for your case if it were to come to trial. That's what litigation really is. It's trial-based work, and it's a lot of pre-trial based work as well. Transactional is more on the contract side, and that's more outside of the courtroom. You're likely never to get to the court, if you're in a transactional role. That would later be passed on to litigation if a contract were litigated. But transactional deals with a lot of civil components that aren't necessarily in the courtroom, right? So non-prosecutorial, non-defense, just mainly contract work. And that's the difference. And then with public sector and private sector, there's a difference in terms of who you work for. So if your employer is a nonprofit, if it's a governmental entity, if it's something like that, that would qualify you, let's say, for instance, for public student loan forgiveness. That's a great way to qualify a public sector position, right? That would be that area that those jobs would fall under. Private sector is just the opposite of that, right? So anything that's not a government entity, that's not a government regulator, that's not a non-for-profit, it is a private company owned by a private entity, right? Or it could be a public company or whatever the case may have you. And those are the differences between the different sectors as well. And then there are all these different other nooks and crannies anywhere and everywhere in between, right? Like there's international human rights. There are advocates out there that are liaising with people in order to get things done, to change policy. There are policymakers. There are people who lobby, right, that also have legal backgrounds and law school degrees. There are tax accountants. There are patent attorneys who help patent inventions created by people because they have an engineering background, and maybe they even help defend those patents, or maybe they help to prosecute them if that needs to be the case because someone's infringing on a patent. So there are so many different areas of the law. And the great thing about being a lawyer is that the law intercedes with so many different industries and practice areas outside of just what you see on Law and Order or what you may have grown up with thinking that a lawyer is. Also try to check out jobs that align with your passion and interest. If you already know what you want to practice or what you're interested in, then go for those opportunities because it makes your decisiveness a lot easier to put into perspective and to select and to narrow down the job applications that you are going to be submitting for potential employers. Other skill sets that may align with some of your interests and passions could include negotiation, it could include legal strategy, depositions, like I said earlier, preparing for those depositions, cross-examination, direct examination if you're in a litigation background, client follow-up, opening and closing arguments, again, if you're in a litigating background, client communications, networking, systems and processes and procedures, specifically if you want to go in like compliance work, and then also contract review and presentation giving. Those are all transferable skills that would be great for you to try to get a job doing, even if you don't know exactly what you want to do, because those skills are going to transfer over to that perfect opportunity when you do realize and when you do find out what you want to do. And also, this is a biggie, and I know a lot of people won't discuss it, is that you should find a job that is aligned with your financial goals. Everyone's financial goals are going to be different, and they're going to have different financial priorities and different responsibilities. So some of you may have families, some of you may have ailing parents, and you're a caregiver and you're taking care of others. And so your financial priorities are going to look different, and perhaps you can't take a job that's only going to pay you $40,000 or $50,000 a year right out of law school. Now, if that is all that is available to you, take it, because again, sometimes you have to take a step in a different role, right? Or take a different type of positioning in order to propel you to that next level for your next opportunity. And it doesn't mean that it has to be your forever job. So don't get bogged down in the details, right? But definitely try to find a job that aligns with your financial goals. And it's okay to say that. And I know a lot of people are like, oh, you're graduating law school, you're just getting out, or you're still in it, you don't have the right to dictate your salary. Well, that's not true, because most of you will come to law school with some type of experience or background that's going to be transferable in a non-legal way to legal experience. And that's the experience that does give you the right to ask for what you want and to make sure you're negotiating and going back to the drawing board and just kind of putting things in perspective for that employer as to what you are asking for. Now, I'm not telling you to settle, and I'm not also telling you to be a diva and, you know, make outrageous demands. You have to be reasonable and rational with the market and the industry you're applying to and the particular employer, how many employees they have working for them, etc. There are a lot of factors that go into that salary conversation, and we can get more into that at a later date. But keep that in mind when applying for a role, right? And specifically a role where the pay range is what the pay range is for a particular candidate when they come in at a particular time with a certain level of experience. If it's non-negotiable, then you need to keep that in mind before you apply, because you're not going to be able to negotiate that if you were selected for the role and they gave you the job offer, right? And it actually might deter the employer from going through with that job offer if they see you trying to negotiate after they were forward and forthright about what the non-negotiation was going to be for the salary, and then you later determine that that's not something something you could accept. So you want to make sure, again, that you are aligning your financial goals with the positions that you are applying for and your transferable skill sets that you would like to gain as well. Lastly, for this video, what we're going to talk about today is where to find those jobs. So for some of you, you'll find them in your listservs, whether it be email listservs that you're subscribed to, that you're a member of, that you're part of. For some of you, it may also be student organizations that you're a part of in law school, right? It may be external employers that you've worked for in the past that are keeping you in mind for opportunities. Oh my gosh. It may also be advisors, right? Your legal advisors, your mentors, your sponsors, career advisors at your law school, and career services office, alumni networks, career fairs, and even external organizations that you're a part of outside of law school. Like for instance, for me, when I got my clerkship, I clerked for the Northern District of Texas with a federal judge right out of law school. That was my first legal opportunity postgraduate, right? And in order to get that role, I kept in contact with a high school track coach of mine that I was really cool with, and she loved me. And she introduced me to her father, who was a federal judge at the time. Now, although he was retiring, he still had other federal judge friends that he knew in the circuit, right? And so he circulated my resume for me. And even though I had already applied on US courts, USAO courts or whatever.gov, I was able to get in front of those judges and interview with them and show them who I am because of that foothold that I had with my high school track coach and her father. And ultimately it landed me an opportunity, right? Like a career opportunity as a legal law clerk out of law school for the Northern District. And that came by way of organizations and networks that were outside of law school. And so I always tell people, you never know who can help you. You never know where you're going to find that next career opportunity or that job, or who's going to be able to help you with what. So don't count people out. Keep up with those networks. Make sure that you are staying connected to people, even if you don't think that they'll benefit you or be able to help you out with landing an internship or a job in law school. Also be sure to look out for networking events, right? Or law school bulletins. Like I know in my law school, because I was an in-person law student, we would go to law school and there would be bulletin boards located everywhere, and they would have different job opportunities that were posted just by paper. And if you weren't in person or you weren't looking at those job bulletins, then you missed it and you weren't able to apply for those opportunities. So be on the lookout for those low-key opportunities that are posted around your law school as well. Google and other search engines like Symplicity. I know a lot of law schools use that as an internal career services locator for potential job opportunities and internships, etc. So make sure you're checking those search engines, and you should be able to filter out particular jobs that you're interested in. And so you can get notifications when those jobs or those opportunities become available, and you'll know when to apply for them. And then online career websites, right? Like LinkedIn. LinkedIn is so invaluable. Monster, Indeed, Ladders, Glassdoor, ZipRecruiter, all of those other search engines or job search engines that you would normally try to find a job on outside of law school, they still post legal opportunities as well. You could also try to get connected to a legal headhunter. And then finally, any career page of any employer, any entity, any organization or company in which you are courting, right? So if they have a career page, which most of them do, they will post careers as they become available, and you be sure to be on the lookout for them as well and see if you can set up some type of notification so you get alerts when those opportunities come through and you can remember to apply. Well, y'all, that's all that I have for today's video. The next video, we are going to get into more topics relevant to internships and jobs. Thank you so much for being here with me today. You could have been anywhere in the world. And happy Halloween to all of you guys. I'm actually recording this video on Halloween day, so it is boo-tastic. Y'all caught that? It was funny, right? I know. No, I'm kidding. But thank you so much for joining, and please feel free to subscribe to this channel. It really helps me to grow it. And it also gives you notices and alerts of when I post new content, so you don't miss out on these gems. Like this video, share it specifically with someone who's in their first semester of law school, or who may be interested in law school, or someone further along in their law school career who could just use some gems along the way. And until next time, I will see you all again. Bye, y'all.